Are we supposed to talk? Oh, okay.
Really?
This
Really?
is Freedom Forum 1 on the 5th month of the year 2016, the 25th day. Already it's the end of May.
Yeah, parents are now cursing because their little heathens are out of school.
Oh yeah, but I'm not. I don't have a traffic jam to go through if I leave before 8 o'clock in the morning at my house.
That's true.
Whoever's brilliant idea it was to put that road right in back of my house so that the parents can drop off their kids.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have to go 2 blocks north
And
or
come around.
west to get out safely.
Wow.
That doesn't work. Let's pray. This is our usual prayer every week for our children as you fight for the children of Louisiana. And I've had a very interesting week, believe me. The passion of Christ strengthens me. Strengthen me under the pressure of temptation. Strengthen me when principle is at stake. Strengthen me to do your will, my God. Strengthen me in moments of suffering, in times of loneliness, in periods of depression. Strengthen me that I may never swerve from you, dear Christ, nor weaken through human respect, through a desire to be popular, through the hope of social distinction. Strengthen me to accept my cross and carry it generously to the end. On the battlefield of life, stand by me that I may never prove a traitor in the ranks. Stand by me that I may not be dazzled by the glitter and glow of the enemy camp. Amen. Make no mistake, this is a spiritual battle for the free-thinking minds of our children. What, and this is my big emphasis recently, what will your part have been when all is said and done? You know, this week has been really
Illuminating.
very educational, by the way. In certain aspects. I'm not going to talk about some of that yet, but I do have some things to say. The last meeting, in 2 weeks from today, or tomorrow, is the Patriots meeting. And we'll announce that Harold Scheffler will be there to talk about I-49, nothing else. And I heard that it's a very good presentation and to take questions. This is out of the realm of what's going on in that room next to us here. I couldn't get in.
Yeah, they're meeting right next door to us.
They're meeting there, and the door's locked.
They know you, Jim. They know you.
I didn't want to get kicked out of
Might get
here
arrested
for
going in.
tonight,
Yeah.
shaking the door. Hey, let me in! The other thing is, speaking about that, when you go to public meetings, quote unquote, public meetings.
That's a misnomer. That's kind of
That is
like
a total, absolute, abstract
that's like Army intelligence.
Should I
It doesn't
say it
make
like
mean
it
what you
is?
think it means.
lie.
Yeah.
It's a lie.
It's an oxymoron.
Because they don't get that. The public don't get. The last one I had a friend that was at, he said they closed the meeting when they gave the presentation, and afterwards you could talk one-on-one with people at the meeting.
That's not a public meeting
That's not a public meeting.
No.
First of all, it's a violation.
of the public meeting law.
Oh, I didn't say that, did I? A violation of a government meeting? No, we didn't go there. I'm sorry, I take that back. Oh, but here's the other thing. And many times, this is what I see. Everybody thinks we're done. But I know things that the Acadiana Patriots have accomplished. Oh, goat herder.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I got a big black screen.
They may be switching over to the new system.
Oh, they're switching over?
Yeah, it may be.
You on Ustream?
Yeah, I'm Ustreaming.
No, Tom.
Yeah, it should be working now.
It should be working now.
We're gonna have to give you a link for the next show. We're gonna have to give you a link because you'll be able to log in.
Yeah, I'm getting a commercial now. I got a commercial.
There you go. But you'll be able to log in after this. We'll give you the link for next week, and you'll be able to log into the AOC site itself and watch the show live on AOC on computer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
Yeah.
I hear you wasted some ammunition the other day.
Ain't nothing such
There wasn't no
It
waste.
was improving my skills.
You're
was-
improving your skills.
That was educational.
Yeah, that's what it was. Educational.
Yep.
Yeah, we need to educate those guys that just walk by.
Yeah. Hey, maybe the time will come. I don't know. You know.
I-49. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just getting everything ready.
Yeah, we had us a good day on the
Everything
range.
ready.
It worked out well.
Oh yeah.
We ate pretty
What
good
things
too.
Do, you know,
And,
different stuff works different in different pieces of equipment.
and we ate pretty good too before we left.
Yeah, we ate good, Mama.
Boy, let me tell you. You tell your mama that back strap, oh,
Yeah, I
Lord.
don't share my backstrap with just anybody.
Oh, look, that was some good stuff. Man,
Yeah.
man, that sausage was pretty good too.
Mama know how to beat some pots and pans together in the kitchen.
But let me tell you, we ate real good. I told him, I said, anytime his mama wants to cook, you call me, I'll come by.
We might
All
have
right,
a...
man.
All right,
I want to
buddy.
see if y'all come on after these commercials here.
All right, buddy.
I got some commercials on
Let
right
us
now.
know.
I'll
Call us
catch
back.
y'all later.
All right.
All right.
Adios.
Anyways, people have to, at our meetings, I closed the last meeting with the fact that everyone there had the responsibility to ask one or two new people to come to the next meeting. And I'm going to put out an email to the organization stating that it's your responsibility. I'll send off the stuff tomorrow to our media person. And I will say this, that every week that they have what's that magazine that comes out, they do list the Acadiana Patriots meeting.
And you're on Facebook regularly.
And I'm on Facebook regularly, and I put the
Yeah.
meeting listing on there, and there isn't much more that I can do. Now, I like the people that like it. Share it. Share it. You can like it all you want, and I appreciate that. But
Oh, and folks, if you're watching this right now live, you see that address that's showing on the
is that working now?
the bottom banner of the show, that aocinc.org/watch-stream.asp. That will be the new place to be able to go and watch us live on computer. That is the AOC website. So if y'all can
Is
write
it
that,
working now or no?
they can try it. I don't know,
They can try it.
but that will be
Huh?
It's not working
It's not working this week?
next week.
yeah, next
Next
week
week.
it'll be active.
Well,
so,
that's what he told us last week.
so y'all can write that down and use that to watch the show live off of the AOC website.
And that will only be available live,
Yep. So real time.
real time. But what I was saying is that we've talked, and I know Brett has for a lot more years than I have when Tom was here. I didn't get an update on Tom.
No.
I saw him.
Same.
Open his eyes, able to lift his left hand on command after some patting.
Left
That was
hand,
it.
but not the right.
No, never been able to move the right. But he did lift the left hand all the way up on command after I tapped his hand and gave him the commands. And-
Okay.
and
So
his eyes
so
were
it's
open,
about the same.
But he could not focus on me.
He's about the same then. He hasn't made any serious movements forward. But anyways, we talk about this all the time. Until something happens to force whatever situation with an individual or group, nobody does anything outside of watching TV
The norm.
and yes, and
Well, Jim,
I got a text a little bit ago. The LSU baseball game will
That's
start later.
That's what I
today.
was just getting at. You know, LSU baseball is on. There's always
Hey,
some sporting event.
I'm a big fan. LSU's playing in the SEC tournament tonight. Where is Jim? The game starts supposedly at
Well,
8
Jim,
o'clock.
it's okay. When the gun confiscation squads get loose, the economy breaks down, banking holiday happens, and there's no LSU baseball, then we'll have something to talk about.
I had the privilege today to run into, you're going to love this, John Bell Edwards, right-hand man.
Which one?
I don't know which one. Anyways, I asked him where John Bell Edwards was, and he said in his office. And I says, do you have a key to get in there? And he said, you have to make an appointment to meet him.
Oh, I'm sure he'd make an appointment to see you.
Yeah. And I said, well, does that include the 4 emails that I sent to try and get a meeting with him?
Jim, you'll get an invitation to meet with John Bell Edwards the same day that the devil is ice skating.
And I almost...
Maybe quicker.
Hey, I almost said to him, is Bell Edwards available? I'll tell you what, it was close. But what I'm getting at is the teachers, retirement teachers, got whammed by John Bell Edwards.
What'd he do?
Well, it's just, they didn't get quite what they thought they were going to get.
That's what you get when you elect a liberal Democrat. You don't get quite what you thought you was going to get.
The whole thing is that we're on the brink of total. It's going to go one way or the other, and it can. I get tired of, and listen, I'm not 100% Trump, and I'm not telling you to vote for Trump, but I am telling you, if you're one of those ignorant people, and ignorance is the key word, that says, well, I'm not going to vote for Trump if the election comes.
Oh, so that's a vote for Hillary. Okay.
So that's a vote for Hillary.
You really want Hillary with all her 20 scandals,
Look.
all the dead people under her watch? Okay.
You heard the latest, right?
Oh, yeah.
This retired coal executive up in West Virginia was murdered. And the first thing I saw on my Facebook page when I shared that is, did he speak out against Hillary? Well, they're gonna Hillary, that's a good subject right there. She made that comment about she was gonna kill the whole coal industry.
Started with him.
Well, I don't know about him. That could be.
Given her history, look, there's over 122 people dead surrounding killing Hillary.
Well,
if she says she's going to kill it, you got to be careful because she does.
Here's the thing.
She'll have it done.
I couldn't believe she used the word kill.
Why not? That's Hillary.
Well,
she's untouchable. She's a Teflon turd.
As one of
It won't flush.
the ladies that I talk with, she says, I love the way you talk about Hillary. And this was people I ran into outside of Albertson, and telling us they saw me and they wanted to know, are you the guy that's on that show?
No, that's your evil twin.
And I said, and the girl says, we love the way you talk about Hillary. And I said, what do you mean? She says, you describe her perfectly. And I said, what do you mean, ma'am? And she said, you call her Hillary.
That's what she is.
And she says, absolutely perfect what y'all named the governor. And I said, and what is that, ma'am? And she goes, Dumbbell Edwards.
That came about, I was having lunch with a friend in New Iberia, and that person will remain anonymous, but he referred to him as Dumbbell Edwards. And I looked at him, I said, you mind if I use that? Oh, no, just leave it anonymous. And I ran with it from there.
And I'll tell you, it spread.
It fits.
The whole thing is, people wake up,
If the shoe fits,
totally wake up. In 2 weeks, we're going to have a good session. The session will be over, probably be in a special session.
for taxes again.
My word, yeah. And they have no clue.
Well, they didn't finish it the last time. All they're doing is wasting money, having us another special session for what they're not going to fix. They won't cut
What I
anything.
and they got to pay out all the people to stay there.
Oh yeah,
and
all the per
money.
diems and all the salaries and everything. Oh yeah, it's a big Ponzi scheme. They
Well-
get paid to go up there and do nothing.
I want to get to this. What I'm saying is, in 2 weeks, we're going to have something that's of great interest to this Acadiana area, and that is the I-49 deal. Harold Shuffler's going to come and give a presentation, his presentation, and this is going to be a no bull, to the point presentation.
So if you want to know about what's happening with the I-49 corridor project, you need to come to the Patriots meeting.
Need to spread the word, and I'll get more information out on that, but
As we get closer.
as we get closer next week. And this was a week that I testified in two I'm gonna tell you what, people. You, you go to these committee meetings, what an education you get.
Yeah, you find out how little some of them know.
Well, the first one
scary.
I went to this week was on SB 54.
And what's that one about?
License plate, I'll read it. Proposed law creates a program for using an automatic license plate recognition system to identify uninsured motorists and stolen vehicles. Now, I will get into that. Provides that the system may be used as follows. If law enforcement officer is able to determine that the motor vehicle is stolen or that the owner of the vehicle lacks the compulsory insurance required by present law, the determination constitutes probable cause to arrest the operator of the stolen motor vehicle or to issue a citation to the owner of the motor vehicle for the compulsory insurance violation. A law enforcement officer may verify by sworn affidavit that a photograph generated by an automatic license plate reader system unit identifies a particular vehicle operating on a public highway, that the database shows that the vehicle was uninsured or stolen at the time such vehicle was being operated, which affidavit constitutes probable cause for prosecution under any applicable present law. Now, let me tell you how they explained it. None of that is true. According to Johns from Lake Charles.
Okay, so what's the?
This is not how they presented this.
So what'd they say?
They said that it would read the plate and be sent back, and they would be sent a ticket, a diversion ticket, $200, and nothing about the police officer stopping the car.
This is just like Joey Durrell's traffic light camera system.
Oh, yeah. Plus, it's wide open that they could actually permanently mount these things like the red flex stuff.
That's what I
Which
just
they
mentioned.
said no.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I read this, people.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sitting there, plus the data collection. Now, some people are not worried about the data collection. The whole deal is, what are you looking at, bud?
Don't think he knows.
Never mind.
He just came out of the I-49 meeting. He looks
Came
confused.
out of the I-49
He's
meeting.
confused.
Probably knows who we are and what we do, and that's good. Anyways, this wasn't what he said, what John said, the writer of this.
But Jim,
deal.
you don't remember the old saying, the issue is never the issue with government? It's always, look over here and we're going to do something, back around the back here. So that's what they're trying to do.
I mean, what did that say? That when it reads that the cop could make a stop. But that isn't what they said how it works.
Yeah,
It
no
goes
cops
back
involved.
to this database, which will be in East Baton Rouge, of which they'll have to certify a police officer to control the database.
And that's what they do here.
Okay.
That's done here too, to interpret it.
Here's, and then if they find out now on an Amber Alert or a stolen vehicle, they will get back. But the police officer's not going to be behind the car then, and he's going to have to go find him. And I'm going like, this is
Now,
real.
Jim, let's look at this from another angle. What is wrong with the whole concept of Obamacare? They forced us to buy something, correct?
Yeah. This here,
Well, Jim, wait. This is car insurance. They forced us to buy car insurance. Why? Now, I'll tell you what Bustani said 2 years ago during the election. A lady called in, and she was talking with Charles Bustani on KPEL about Obamacare. You know what he had to say? Oh, well, that's wrong. The government should never force you to buy something. Well, then you know what she says? Well, Representative Bustani, how about the state law forcing me to buy car insurance? You know what his response was? Well, driving is a privilege. You don't have to drive. Charles Bustani said that. Yeah, I was listening.
Wow.
You don't have to drive.
here's the deal with this. Okay. I mean, there's a lot more in here. I have my notes: data collection by third party, cost. I sat there and listened to all this explanation of all this different stuff, and I'll give Barry Ivy and I forget the other guy's name. They really got into it.
How
Even
much?
John Schroeder.
How much is it going to cost? Did they say?
Nothing.
No, I mean the whole system to put it in and everything.
The company that's a third party is putting up $5 million, and there's $50,000 expense on our side that they're going to pay.
So how much of a profit does the company get from whatever
I'm
it
glad
makes?
you asked.
Oh, I knew there was something.
I'm glad you asked.
There's no free lunch.
Right here in the bill. This is how it breaks down.
I'm psychic, Jim. I'm psychic.
Now they call it a diverse fine.
Oh,
it's a
I'm
legal
sure.
term for $200. 30% to the vendor of the automatic license plate recognition system.
Here we go. Okay.
30% to the district attorney
Whoa, 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 whoa. For what?
for processing.
Well, why-
30% to the sheriff.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Time. What does the sheriff have to do with this?
And 10% to the Louisiana public defender. That's out of the $200.
Well, why does it
The
go to...
actual fine for not having insurance is $500 on the first violation.
Or $200 diversion that gets sent
Or
to all
if you
these...
pay the $200 diversion.
This is what they're really trying to do. They're paying off the bill for the public defender's office, which is basically broke from mismanagement in the state of Louisiana.
Well.
And they're trying to buffer that through using our data from
I
our
want
license
you to
plates.
calculate this. 30% of 200 is what? $60. Okay? So they invested $5 million plus the 50,000. Okay? So let's just say there's 25,000 uninsured cars. And they're saying 15% of the people are uninsured. I don't buy that. I think it's higher than that, but that's what they said. Well, just taking 25,000 times $200 is how much? It's
Ooh, 5 million.
5 million. And then take 30% of 5 million.
1,500,000.
And they invested 5 million.
They're going to make a heck of a profit quickly.
Oh yeah, and this is a 5-year contract.
They're going to make a heck of a profit quickly.
But here's where I went when I testified. I went to I told them who I was, president of the Acadiana Patriots.
Oh, Jim, they knew who you were.
Well, some
They knew who you
some
were.
did. There were new people on that committee that
I think
met
word
Jim
spread
for the
quickly.
first time. And I also told them we did a 2-hour TV show and that we get feedback on this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, we do educate the people. I said, my concern is I spent the last 4 years in the education part of this building, in the committees, fighting data collection for the kids. And now I sit here and here's another data collection thing. I understand they already have this data. Here's the simplicity of things. If you know as a police officer, you see a car and you want to run the plates because you're suspicious of that car, you call in or type into the computer
Sure.
the license plate number.
Sure.
It goes to wherever and comes back almost immediately and tells you about that vehicle within
correct.
what, 3 to 5 minutes maybe?
Depending on how well the system's working that day, but generally, yeah.
Okay, so why? I'm going to tell it. You're not going to believe the answer. So why are we going to an automatic reader system? The answer: the officer don't have to type it into his computer anymore.
But this is the thing that you're already getting at. The officers are only in so many places, and it's an act of will for them to run a plate. Whereas with this system, it will automatically run every plate all the time, and they're seeing dollar signs.
If behind it, as long as you have a violation. So this, I'll tell you what, this committee, which was the, I forget, governmental affairs. The people on that committee did a good job. They really vetted this.
Jim, what it boils down to is we have too much big government already. This is more big government. We are in a budget shortfall and we don't need this or any other money spent.
Listen.
Everything
you
works just like it
hear
is.
what I said. It's not costing us anything.
We don't need to have any money spent, period,
It's like,
by anybody. We don't need
so
that.
anyways, I hit the thing about, and I will tell you this, that there were several people there from the Libertarian Party, and I got to give, them people did an incredible job. I mean, it was really, the three people, the other two people that were at the table, it was an incredible team effort. And it wasn't like one of us was out there standing. Everybody that spoke
They're coordinated.
coordinated and made the point that Jim said this, or Wendy said this, or Brown said this, and it was a team thing, which I think shocked a lot of the people up there.
But you know what the thing is, though, Jim? We already have enough blue-hatted, blue-suited revenue collectors on the road. We don't need any more revenue being collected. They think we need more revenue being collected, but they dig in our pockets plenty.
Here's the deal. So here's where Jim goes. Jim, the technical person, the computer guy. I said, so what you're telling me is that we have no one in the state police department that's smart enough to run this software.
Ooh. Okay.
And the chairman's looking at me with,
Daggers.
no, he's going, I can't believe you said that.
Well, no, that's what they're implying.
I said, so we're going to have this cost, and we're going to need to train. We're going to take one of our officers in the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Department, and he will solely be responsible for that. And I said this, and then they said, well, what is? One of them said to me, what's your point on that? I said, what if he gets sick? Logic. I mean, you know.
They never get sick.
So I made the point on that. I mean, Wendy actually read, and I had read it before, but I didn't print it because I didn't want to read it. She read Jindal's veto, why he vetoed this bill last year. This actually made it through the House and the Senate last
I remember when he
year.
killed it.
And she read that, and man, it was like to the point. So, we go through all this. The people up there ask 10 million questions, and they take a vote. And it's 7-3, kill the bill.
Good. Good.
John, in his closing statements, called us liars. The ones that testified against the bill. We were misinformed, and they didn't know what they were talking about.
Aren't we always? We're always wrong.
I told Brett, fortunately he went by the back and in the back room, because I would have gone and talked to him. I don't like nobody calling me a liar when I did my homework. And that's how our representatives think of our people when they don't get their way. What I would like you to know is this is the third year in a row this baby failed. The license plate scanner bill.
Just running through the computers, so.
Huh?
They just need to run through the computers in that room.
Well, when you really look at the picture, I had, and I won't mention his name, but he's become a good friend of ours. When I was telling him about this, and he said to me, Jim, my question to you would be who in the legislation is tied to that company?
The description of Louisiana politics, you always go and look who's going to make a profit if it passes. Amazing.
So today,
That's why they call Louisiana the land of Iwi. Edwin W. Edwards. You always see who's going to make the money.
we got another Edwards too.
Yeah, and this one's not worth a darn. At least the last one I worked for. Things ran pretty good.
Yeah.
This one, ooh.
So today I go back for more punishment. And I go to the House Committee on Judiciary.
Okay.
The bill, H.R. 170, which is a resolution, just a resolution, requests law enforcement and governmental agencies to avoid and suspend contacts and outreach activities with the Council on American Islamic Relations.
A terrorist organization.
Well, not by the means of the federal government, but I'm going to cover that.
Well, they've got
Here's-
quite an extensive history.
Here's the thing. I'm going to explain why they want to suspend the contact and outreach activities. They have a program, and I wish I could have gotten the brochure that comes from these people. What they do is they go to small police, underfunded police departments and train them. Now what does it say this is? It's CARE. Oh man, I can never remember. The Council on American Islamic Relations. This paper, this printout I have here is the timeline of CARE. And what I'm going to tell you about why they want to do this is what they do. They send their people in to train the police department. Okay, and we know how they're training them and what it's about. So Barry Ivy, Barry Ivy gave an example of how it works. A domestic disturbance, okay? A domestic disturbance. You go to the house under their training, and the man has to be present when the police are interrogating the wife. And I'm sitting there, and he did a good job of this, because he was staying away from trying to go a certain direction. We talked about all this before the meeting. And I'm going Sharia law.
Mm-hmm.
That is exactly what that is. Because, as I said to Brett before the meeting, the thing is that in the way he would perform that duty if he went to a domestic violation thing is the man would be separated. Go ahead.
I was wondering, if you had any information on how Tom's doing.
We covered that.
Well, we covered a little bit earlier, but he's about the same. No real improvement.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So he used that example in there in the court, and I'm sitting there going Sharia law.
Mm-hmm.
And basically,
There is no investigation.
there is no investigation. There is nothing they can do. And this is one of the reasons. In the bill itself, he listed several reasons. One of the things is whereas the Federal Bureau of Investigation has suspended all formal contacts with the Council on American Islamic Relations due to evidence indicating a relationship between CARE and Hamas. I got to get that.
See, the reason why the Bureau has had to go ahead and suspend relations is because the amount of terrorist activity that is being tied to CARE is simply overwhelming. I mean, it's not just one incident, it's not just two incidents. CARE is popping up with their fingers in terrorist pies behind arms and mosques, behind weapons caches, behind terrorist acts all over the place. And it's not just a little thing. It's like they're slowly uncovering. There's an iceberg that this much of it sticks up above the water, and there's this much dirty laundry of CARE that they're just starting to uncover. And the interesting part about it is under our governmental system, the executive, the presidency runs, quote, the law enforcement functions. So FBI, DOJ, and all of those other people run under the presidency. Well, with the presidency being a full Muslim organization and everybody in the president's cabinet being full-blown Muslim, it's interesting that the FBI would break all ties with CARE in spite of the fact that the whole administration is Muslim. That is significant in and of itself.
Well, And he listed that first, and then he listed, whereas one of CARE's directors in Virginia pled guilty to terrorism-related financial and conspiracy charges, which resulted in a federal prison sentence.
Thank you.
And whereas communist specialist and civil rights coordinator for CARE trained with Al-Qaeda-tied Kashmir organization that is listed on the Department of State's international terror list. And it goes, he lists several things.
It just
okay?
gets deeper and deeper and deeper.
So I'm sitting there and I was texting him. And this guy
These CARE people are not nice people.
said to, and I was in shock, I don't know anything about this organization, one of the people on the committee. But it wasn't just one.
Well, they live under a rock?
He had no idea. This is our representative in our state. Had no idea who CARE was.
Better find out.
And this whole thing, I sat there and I was amazed. I was amazed at how this thing, it's a resolution. It's not a bill. And it's for, what Ivy's trying to do here is for the protection of the Louisiana people. And they were asking questions, do they have an office here? Has the federal government listed them as a terrorist thing? And I'm sitting there going, you people really have no clue. You have no clue because of the administration in Washington, D.C. Now, I will give the chairman, who was, can I say black lady? Is that still one of the words I can use? Was it a chairman? And she did say there were a lot of things about, and she basically mentioned Obama, that were on the jagged edge for the protection of the people of the United States.
She was being generous.
And she was being politically correct. But they took this resolution, which I read to you, the basic part of the resolution, and turned it into profiling, racist argument. And I'm sitting there going, good Lord.
Okay, Jim.
But
What was it profiling when ISIS took 250 Christian women over Easter and sawed their heads off? I think they were profiled,
well,
wasn't it?
here's the other thing. What the lady did was she went back to the 1960s about an NAACP. And I thought, just what the heck does that have to do with what we're talking about
Well,
today?
what happens is you obscure the threat of Muslim extremism by focusing on the civil rights movement racial episodes and trying to merge the two together. That way you don't effectively investigate the Muslim issue and they can brand you a racist. Whereas the other flip side of it is we are in a war that was declared on us by ISIS and by the other Muslim extremists. And the problem that we have is that these yo-yos want to make it a racial issue, and for them, the Muslims, it's not a racial issue. It's a Sharia issue. Either you are under Sharia law or you're not. And if you're not, they saw your head
and
off.
see, Barry Ivy did a good job of keeping that word out of the conversation, which I thought was okay. Here's the deal. We go round and round. We're talking about overstepping. Are we overstepping our thing? And I can't remember the guy. Darn it. Johnson. It was a guy named, representative named Johnson, brought up the fact that the state has the right. Now we're talking state sovereignty, but he didn't say that.
10th Amendment.
And he said the state has the right to make laws to protect themselves from different things. And in this case, he said, I don't feel we're overreaching our
Well, it basically-
power as a state entity.
The basic 10th Amendment works out, and I don't have it right in front of me, but all powers that are not reserved to the federal government in the Constitution are then delegated to the people and the individual states. And most of the power that the federal government usurps through the Interstate Commerce Clause and the Supremacy Clause are based on overreach.
Yeah.
Way overreach.
Well,
Way.
the whole thing, it came down to the fact that the federal government didn't make it into that, but the FBI cut ties with them, and that was a big deal. And Ivy did a good job. Also, he told them, had he known, he would have printed out the hundreds of pages of documentations and given it to them, because one of the people that did not know who CARE was said he has no proof in front of him that this is actually a problem. And I'm sitting there going, this isn't. So when I spoke, I was asked to be brief.
Jim, you should have asked him. Okay, so by your logic, when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, unless you were standing in Hawaii and heard planes come over, you didn't believe it got bombed, did you?
Yep. I mean,
Well, that's about what his logic is.
you read my text.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Here's the deal. When I spoke, one of my concerns was for the people of the state of Louisiana.
That's our primary concern.
And that was the primary concern. And I spoke about a lot of other things, letting them know that I've been studying this for 7 years. And I have a real good knowledge of this. The shocking part about the whole thing was the number of representatives on that committee that had no clue who CARE was. That in itself scared me.
And they make laws that affect our safety and security.
Exactly. And the other thing is, how many more? I said, 3 years ago, I learned about representatives and senators having all these bills to deal with, and they didn't know half the time, just like Common Core. Most of them had to be educated. And here we are, sitting here, trying to, what's the best word, politely tell you this organization is dangerous. And they don't get it.
Some of them don't want to get it.
So this is what Ivy said. It's going to cost the state. He said, I will print every piece of documentation that I have.
Probably a big
With
stack.
the proof. He said it's hundreds of pages.
Well, Jim, just the first 3 or 4 paragraphs right here gave it out right there. What's the word?
I just had to call in here.
Okay.
I am tired of being discriminated against.
Pray tell, why?
I'm constantly being discriminated against. All this racism in America here. It's not my fault. I was born white. I'm sorry.
Yes, it is.
I can't go back and switch parents. You know, every time I turn around, I'm being discriminated against here. I don't know what to do about it.
Well, you do what I do. You smile and calculate the ones that say it are idiots.
Oh, no. What Mr. Jim does, he goes to Baton Rouge and sits right in the front of them and aggravates them good.
That's what we were talking about. I don't know if you were
Here we go.
watching it.
I got pretty close.
Yeah,
I got pretty close.
Ustream
I was pretty
is
close.
sort
Yeah,
of working tonight.
got it.
Yeah. We were talking about the Hillary fiasco
That's a
a while
deep
back,
subject.
and no one's covered that. Tied in the Fast and Furious gun walking with the Benghazi gun running.
Well, you see, we were talking about that before. What I had just recently learned is that Brian Terry's brother came forth and did an interview with Alex Jones, and I heard some of it. And what the text of it is that allegedly Brian Terry turned up a case of Fast and Furious AKs and reported it to a superior, and that his death was not merely just side violence from the cartels, that it was a targeted assassination because he blew the whistle on an international gun smuggling ring.
Kind of like the Benghazi deal.
Yeah, well, that's what our caller here is getting at. That what this is, that Fast and Furious is actually the U.S. State Department having a gun running operation that funnels them through Mexico, and they go all over the world, and not just to Mexicans. And
Well-
Brian Terry was killed because of it. And the FBI.
So were the Benghazi boys.
And the FBI had possession of Brian Terry's cell phone all this time and just let it out. And the other thing that caller had informed me that was pretty illuminating, Brian Terry is killed allegedly in cartel violence. Then how come his house is ransacked and tore up as if somebody was looking for
Exactly.
something, and all of his computer stuff, his hard drives are dumped and wiped and stolen?
I mean, we know the answer.
But that's what our caller's getting
A lot
at.
of this stuff started, I don't know if you remember when Hillary went on TV and stated that 90% of the guns used in the killings in Mexico were coming from the U.S.
Right.
So then they started the gun running scandal, the gun running fiasco to,
Yeah, she was trying to get the Second Amendment, anti-Second Amendment crowd wound up to start beating their drums to stop the random violence in Mexico. Well, you see, that didn't work because there's nobody in Mexico because they're all over here.
Yeah. They came here.
the outcome of the gun running scam went exactly the way they wanted it to go, except them getting caught. But they wanted a bunch of people to get killed, and then they could say, "See, we told you the guns are all coming from the U.S. We need to ban them."
Well, of course.
They just weren't counting on their own people ratting them out.
Yeah, they actually
Amen.
had. You know, it must be an interesting thing to find that there were actually honest ATF agents. They're probably going to find those guys stuffed and pickled in the Smithsonian in the back with the dinosaurs. It's a rare thing.
Well,
Yep. Yeah. The scandals with Hillary just never stopped.
Well, we've got 30 years of scandal, and you know, when you start talking Hillary and scandal, you got about 20 of them, and I
40 years.
well, I was being conservative. It depends on where you start the scandals. If you want to go back as far as to lying in Watergate with the Nixon stuff, I was talking scandals as far as
Oh, yeah.
her and Bill together actually in criminal conspiracy. But her lying on the Watergate Commission and getting kicked out of the meetings because she lied, well, that's all she can do is lie.
But nothing's going to happen.
Nope, she's Teflon. Nothing will ever
Nothing
stick to
is
her.
going to happen.
She's the Teflon turd. She won't flush.
That is just incredible. With everything they have on her, she should be in prison, much
Yeah.
less
Running for president.
The president should be in
That
prison
just
too.
shows you right there.
Yeah, joining cells. Same rock breaking party.
That's why they fear Trump,
You know,
because they know they're going to jail when he gets
you know,
in.
Jim. Old Michelle Obama looks kind of stout. I bet she'd swing a sledgehammer on a rock pile like nobody's business.
Pretty good.
Oh yeah.
You mean shim. She's a shim.
Well, depends on how you want to define the article. I'm not an expert on defining animal, vegetable, or mineral, so I don't know exactly how to define that.
All right, buddy. We got to finish up this part on care.
We'll catch you later.
Catch you later.
All right, see you later.
All right. So, I testified today, and I really 3 times hit it about my biggest concern was for the citizens of the state of Louisiana, and that this proposal was a good way to help prevent that. I never said Sharia law. I didn't go there. I just let them know I know a lot about this organization. And I also said some of your concerns are very well taken. You know, I mean, we all need to make sure we're doing the right thing. But I said, I can guarantee you in this case, this resolution is a good resolution. And I left it alone. So I get home, because all these people at the meeting are talking about care and they don't know, and they're trying to make sure that we do the right thing.
They don't even know what they're talking about.
They have no clue. So here's the headline on my Facebook page. CARE doesn't think our U.S. military should be honored on Memorial Day 2016. And, you know,
What business
it was
is it
so
of theirs
late in
what
the
we
day.
do? What business is it of theirs?
It isn't any business of theirs. This is some woman in a, there's her mugshot.
With a rag on her head.
And while the rest of the country was recalling its fallen troops, two prominent CARE officials questioned whether they deserve to be honored. Virtually all Americans come together on Memorial Day to honor those who paid the ultimate sacrifice for the country's freedom and safety. Questioning whether U.S. troops deserve to be honored and tweeting the country was established upon white supremacy. The Council on American Islamic, a group labeled by the Justice. Yet on May 23rd, Zahara Bilo, the radical executive director of CARE, San Francisco's Bay Area chapter, tweeted that she struggles with Memorial Day each year about whether to honor American soldiers who died. Well, I'm going to tell you something, lady. Go back to frickin' Syria.
Hop on a slow boat to China.
The
Get
heck
out
out
of
of my country. If it bothers you that much, then go.
And
I'm
Jim-
tired. I'm like our caller said, I'm sick and tired of having to feel guilty because some dumb. No, don't
Yeah.
do that.
here. And see, Jim, that's the point. They
I
don't
caught
like
myself.
they don't like what we do here. So why do they want to be here?
Is that a Arab? Go ahead, caller.
Yes, how y'all doing? Just a quick comment on something. Given the fact that about 99% of the problems in this country are caused by minorities and liberals,
Yep.
I would like to take all the liberals in this country, all the minorities, and throw in Harry Reid,
There you go. Okay.
put them all in California, and when I go to bed at night, I want to pray for a massive earthquake. Thank you for taking my call. I'll call you.
Excellent.
Now, we had another bill over there, quickly, we'll try and get this done. It's hard, this came from my friend Terry. It says, wow, it's hard for me to communicate the extent of my outrage and distaste for the actions of the Senate Judiciary Committee yesterday as they killed our anti-sanctuary bill. Led by Rhino, Senator Danny Martini, and Jefferson Parish Sheriff Newell Norman, both Rhino supporters of Governor Dumbbell, and apparently also the unconstitutional, unlawful edicts of Obama. This bill was continually mischaracterized, and they intentionally muddied the waters with misstatements and absurd amendments with the gutted bill. How long we got? 3 minutes? Rhino Martini. Now, this girl should express herself. You know what I mean, Terry? Rhino Martini was joined in his opposition to this bill by the Southern Poverty Law Center. Remember that name, which characterizes conservatives as hate groups. Oh, that means I belong to a hate group. Okay. Catholic organizations would get millions of taxpayer dollars for their illegal alien outreach programs. GNO Incorporated, which wants cheap labor, spokespeople for law enforcement from New Orleans and Lafayette, who are more concerned about potential lawsuits by illegal aliens. Isn't that something? Potential lawsuits by illegal aliens.
I've never been able to understand why does an illegal alien, by virtue of title, have standing to even sue?
I don't know. Then they are in protecting the citizens and more. Sheriff Norman called this bill Protect Citizens, and I can't say this on air, and claimed, it starts with a bull, and it claimed it would prevent from doing his job. Where'd they get this idiot? That's Jefferson Parish. That is really
There's
amazing.
morons everywhere.
Only public opposition statements were heard by this committee yesterday. They apparently thought that the support statements made in the partial bill hearing last week were sufficient. And you can watch the bill. Obama, I mean, here we go again. I read and watched the video on this. It'll make you sick.
Well, I plan to go on Facebook in the next day, and Sheriff Newell Norman and
Martini.
Senator Danny Martini,
We need to go after them.
they, I really hope they enjoy Facebook, because I'm going to burn Facebook up with the information on them wanting sanctuary cities, putting people like Kate Steinle in jeopardy to be murdered, and they approve of it, because that's what it boils down to.
Well, and you take good, honest people like Jeff Landry, Valerie Hodges. As a matter of fact, I talked to Valerie today.
I
She
saw
was
her
in
on-
that committee
I
meeting.
saw her on Facebook on a couple of pages.
You know, I know we're not getting to your pile, but what do we got, 30 seconds? We want to talk about this.
You might want to wait until the next.
Yeah, we'll wait till the next
block.
session, but
That's important.
we have Paris under Muslim siege, news blackout, riots wreck the city. That's when we come back. This was requested by somebody that I'm friends with on Facebook to talk a little bit about this, and we do need to talk about it.
Because that's